Today on Locked On Rockies, did my fellow co-hosts snub the Colorado Rockies when they said not a single player from the squad makes our top 100?
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome back into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 10th day of March in the year 2026. I'm your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, you're in the right spot, because that's what we do around here, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show. You can fire off your Rockies hot takes. You can let me know what's on your mind when it comes to the Colorado Rockies. And like we said, go check out that Locked On Rockies YouTube channel. Be part of the show. I want to know what's on your mind. Rockies baseball back in action, of course, for the spring, but opening day getting closer and closer. Hey, big day on the Locked On MLB network for us today. We're releasing our top 100 players. There's going to be lots of stuff about this coming up here across the network, but unfortunately, not a single member of the Colorado Rockies makes the list. We're going to talk about that. Plus, in the Locked On Rockies YouTube comments section, I was given a list of 4 players to rank them. So we're going to rank those players, and we'll read a couple more of your comments. Plus, of course, Rockies get thumped by the White Sox in the most recent spring training game as well. So all that and more, all on today's episode. But before we go any further, I want to thank you again for making Locked On Rockies your first listen of the day. I am Paul Holden, your Rockies fan extraordinaire. Been bringing you this daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network for over 6 seasons now. That means hundreds of episodes of the Locked On Rockies podcast with you all, the Rockies fans here, rocking and rolling through the ups and downs of Rockies baseball. And today's episode is brought to you by MLBTheShow.com. Visit MLBTheShow.com/LockedOn and use the code LOCKEDON to unlock a pack for use in Diamond Dynasty. Pre-order now, available March 17th on PlayStation 5, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch, rated E for everyone. So, the Locked On top 100 players list just released this morning, just coming out now this morning, and basically a little peek behind the curtain of what we did was every host or hosts went there and named at least 3 players, if not more, from their squads that they would consider to be a top 100 player in baseball. So I gave my nominations for the top players that I thought would have a chance of at least cracking this list. And we've seen already some top 100 lists that don't have any Rockies, or I believe MLB.com's was the sole one that had Hunter Goodman in the low 90s there, right around that 100 mark anyway. So not necessarily surprised, but I just want to let you know the names that I put out, and one of them was a bit of a stretch, but I just like to throw it in there for the homer's sake. For the Rockies nominations, I nominated Hunter Goodman, Ezekiel Tovar, Brenton Doyle, and Kyle Freeland. Those were the 4 players that I nominated. It was kind of the prompt of being like, quote unquote, best players for the Rockies. And I think, and it's tough. I mean, there's a lot of people had some, their own takes, of course, and a lot of people, I think a lot of the numbers seem to be pretty close to where they ended up getting ranked here. There wasn't too many that were big outliers with where they were at in terms of average placement, because that's how we ranked them basically. But the Rockies players that we had the highest overall ranking was 116, and and then Hunter, that's Hunter Goodman, was 116th on our list of 146 total players. So there was 146 nominated players. They narrowed it down, of course, to the top 100. Hunter Goodman comes in on the list of at 116, Kyle Freeland at 119, and then Brenton Doyle at 132, and Ezekiel Tovar at 136. These were the rankings for the Rockies. So all outside of the top 100. And I think my main pushback against my fellow co-hosts in this, Hunter Goodman showed you last year that he not only was he rewarded for it, but statistically was the best offensive catcher in the National League last year. He's a young guy that is clearly showing that he's got the potential to be a breakout impact player that I think is on par with the catchers that we've seen in the National League. I think I think you see Rockies, you try to in any case with Rockies, especially last year, you try to put in any sort of positive spin or good outlook on it, and you get shunned. But when you're looking for the actual good things that happened last year, and yes, there were a few of them, Hunter Goodman was that. Hunter Goodman was at a difficult position, turned out to be a great player, and should be right on the path to being right there again, to being a guy that's going to contribute and be a key part of this squad. Kyle Freeland, I was shocked that he ranked higher than the other Rockies on the list there, including Ezekiel Tovar and Brenton Doyle. But I think the main thing for those two players, for Doyle and Tovar, is people don't know who they are. You've seen if you're a baseball fan, you've seen a clip of Brenton Doyle tracking down a ball in the outfield, making a great defensive play. That's it. That's the only thing you know about Brenton Doyle. You don't know the fact that this is a guy that can hit double-digit home runs, steal double-digit bags, and play a Gold Glove caliber center field in one of the more difficult places to play outfield in baseball. And on the flip side, or on the other, and then for Ezekiel Tovar, people don't know this young shortstop who missed the majority of last season with injury, despite being a Gold Glover and a guy that the Rockies turned to at a young age, who nearly led the league in doubles 2 seasons ago. It's just what we said for a lot of this. It's now at this moment for Doyle and Tovar. This season is got to be about your cementing yourself as quality, great ball players. Because Kyle Freeland, if you were to rank those 4 players, you would put Kyle Freeland as 4th in the importance of the rankings, would you not? Of the 4 players that I nominated for the top 100, you'd say, performance-wise, you'd probably put Kyle Freeland at the bottom of those 4. So to see Freeland, hey, props to Kyle. I love to see it. I'm glad that there's some Locked On hosts out there that were encouraged and like Kyle Freeland. But I think you're missing the mark when you don't have Hunter Goodman in the top 100 players. And maybe it's a, hey, let's pump the brakes and let's see if Hunter Goodman can do it again. I think when I look at a lot of the names here that are on the list, and it doesn't matter whether it be from the top or the bottom, you're talking about, a good mix of veterans that have been in the game for a while, that have consistently done it, that have performed time and time again. And so I think that's really the issue, and where the Hunter Goodman finds himself in any of these rankings and any of these thought processes is he's got to do it again. And same with Doyle and Tovar. The norm for these players has to be Silver Slugger, Gold Glove, All-Star caliber player. That's what in order to be considered a top 100 player in baseball, that's what your norm has to be. So for the Rockies to not have that consistency from these guys yet, I think that's a big reason why they get overlooked. Because again, I just want to point out here for Hunter Goodman last year, the guy was worth he had a 3.7 WAR season. He had 150 hits, including 31 home runs, batting .278 with 73 runs scored, 91 RBI, a 323 OBP, a slugging of .520, an OPS of .843, and an OPS plus of .120. This is now a guy that has clearly took a massive jump when the keys were handed over to him, and he became an All-Star and a Silver Slugger last year. That means something. That means something. And it's the good parts, the good performances, the any good thing that happens with the Rockies that's associated with 2025 just doesn't get you can't look at it in a positive way. There couldn't have been a Rocky that was better than that actually had a good season. It's impossible. You couldn't have had it. But it just was just not true. I went over here and I wanted to look at here when you're looking at the players when it comes to rank how they rank towards WAR on FanGraphs. Interestingly enough, Hunter Goodman is down at the bottom at 2.2. So there are, even as much as this. I'm making sure that this isn't projections. This was 20. Okay, yes, good. Making sure that this was the actual real stats here. You know what we're talking about. But I just, I did not expect these numbers to be so. I thought they would be better. I always, you see the discrepancies, right, in the FanGraphs and the baseball reference evaluations here as well. With it being he had a 3.4 WAR here. I'm sorry, I was looking at a chart that I didn't quite fully understand. I think regardless, sorry, I know that's not very helpful, but I got completely thrown off by what this was, and I was like, but that doesn't match what you were saying. But I just think that comparably, the guy that's an all-star, the guy that's a silver slugger, has an argument. Has an argument to be made. The other guys, it's I'm not too shocked. And at the end of the day, just like with any of these top 100 lists we've seen before, it's not surprising that the Rockies aren't there because they haven't developed their players into this level of talent. When you get to go through the nominations and when you see the final look and you're seeing two Dodgers in the top 10, you're seeing guys that are young guys that have really broke out and really kind of taken over things. The Bobby Witt Juniors, for example, coming in at number 4. Some of these guys that are just lightning rod talents that are just so amazing. The Julio Rodriguez is as well. You're not surprised when the Rockies don't stack up to these guys, because the real painful thing about looking at the Rockies' performances and the Rockies, by WAR and the Rockies team results over especially the last 3 seasons and the 100 last seasons, the best Rockies performances, the best Rockies players would have been at higher end of average players on other squads. There are squads whose they average, their starters average WAR is 3.5 or is 2. You know what I mean? It's just a lot of these teams have not only gotten the consistency out of the players, they have multiple of these players that can contribute in multiple ways. And the Rockies, there could be an argument at the end of this year, if it's a good year for Doyle, Tovar, and Goodman, that they have guys that are able to compete on this level. But I don't think there's anything too shocking about the Rockies missing out here. Though I think Hunter Goodman deserves to be higher, needed to get more props from our Locked On hosts. I don't think that there are, I just don't think, especially when I'm looking at is this version of JT Realmuto, who was not named to the top 100 for last year, or for this year in the he just missed at 102 is where he was at. Was he better than Hunter Goodman last year? When Hunter Goodman has more hits, more home runs, more batting, a better batting average, a better OBP, a better slugging, a better OPS, JT Realmuto's obviously got the career, and the standard for him has been the last 2023. He was a 3.5 WAR player. 2024, he was a 3.0 WAR player, and 2025, he's a 2.5 WAR player. But that's still the standard, right? Mixing in with his career being so great before that. I just wonder with our list is how much, and this was true for me as well in the voting process. How much did names and just that name and the influence of names factor in for our decisions there, for our hosts? We'll have to see. Well, let me know what your reactions were. Please make sure that you're checking out the MLB Top 100 show as well. Sorry if I spoiled it for you, but there's a lot. The group chat was heated up after we got the results for this, so you're not going to want to miss out on the Top 100 show. All right, in the Locked On Rockies YouTube comment section, I was given 4 Rockies players, and where would I rank them right now? Well, let's talk about that and look a little bit at the Rockies-White Sox game coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes MLB The Show 26. The greatest game in baseball is back with its newest installment. Baseball fans are going to have a hard time pulling themselves away from the game. And I've been saying this a lot, but folks, one of my favorite video game experiences, especially baseball-related experiences, is MLB The Show's Road to the Show. I love the fact that they've added more colleges. I love the fact that they've really dug deep into that mode and built it out. Because, hey, you can draft and build your ultimate lineup and take the Rockies to the World Series. That's awesome. But I like going through the grind of having my character go to college, the minor leagues, and then make it to the majors and help the Rockies win a title that way. That's how I like to play. But the great part about MLB The Show, you can build your dream roster. You can play online or against your friends, or you can check out all the different career mode options and the road to the show. If you're a gamer, a baseball fan, or just want to enjoy America's favorite pastime in a new, exciting way, you're going to love MLB The Show 26. Play as your favorite team and franchise players and see if you have what it takes to win your own World Series. Visit MLBtheshow.com/lockedon and use code LOCKEDON to unlock a pack for use in Diamond Dynasty. Internet connection is required. Pre-order now. Available March 17th on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series S and X, and Nintendo Switch. Rated E for everyone. Back at it here for segment number 2 of today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. We appreciate that. And we appreciate all our everydayers out there, especially those that have checked out the Locked On Everydayers Club. That's going to get you ad-free audio and going to get you access to the Locked On Everydayer Club Discord server, where you can talk about the Rocks with us. You can talk about sports, all the good stuff going on in the Everydayer Club. And guess what? We got a great thing going on for you, the Everydayers, to get involved in. If you've been thinking about joining the Everydayer Club, now is the time. You get those ad-free shows and access to that group chat on Discord. And if you're signed up before the NCAA tournament tips off, you can get into our Everydayer Club bracket pool on Discord for a chance to win Locked On merch, exclusive Locked On merch. Can't get your hands on that. It's kind of hard to do. Should be a lot of fun. Right now, you can use code MARCH to get your first month free. Head to lockedonrockies.supercast.com. That's lockedonrockies.supercast.com. Promo code MARCH for a free month. Head to the show notes for that link as well. Okay, so the Rockies got shellacked by the White Sox here, and just a classic old Paul here cursing the team where they give them props and then it all falls apart as the Rockies allow 11 runs in one inning. 11 runs in one inning. Valente Bellozo and Evan Reed were the ones giving up the damage there. It was 11 hits, 11 runs, 2 walks given there by them, a couple of strikeouts from Bellozo. And Kyle Freeland also got 2 innings worth of work here, allowing an earned run, 3 walks, 5 total walks from Rockies pitching in this one. Again, just that the walks are the stuff that's going to be my big issue. Of course, it's still the spring. It's the pitch tinkering. We all know all that. But the walks are going to be the thing that drives me nuts. It's going to be the most frustrating part of the season again, if it's walks and strikeouts here. Not much going in terms of scoring for the Rockies offense. Rock Riggio hits a long ball for the Rockies here. Robert Calez also drives in a run for the Rockies, and Drew Avens. Ryan Ritter going 0 for 3. So does Adiel Amador and Brenton Doyle. Jordan Beck multi-hit day there with a walk. Charlie Condon picking up a hit. TJ Rumfield getting a walk in his plate appearance there. And Chad Stevens picks up a walk as well. So the Rockies were able to, draw a couple of walks. Always good to see, but Not the best scorer there you'd like to see, but an interesting lineup nonetheless there. But some of these guys, I think in the bullpen, especially some of there's still plenty of spring left. But by the tail end of this week and going into next week, we need to start seeing things, start sharpening up here a little bit, as we are now going to be we have 2 weeks left of spring training games and now 13 days until the regular season starts down in Miami. So I'd like to start seeing a little bit more sharpness from the bullpen. Not the first time I've mentioned that as well. All right, over in the Locked On Rockies YouTube comment section, Luke says, can you comfortably rank the following players? Ritter, Freeman, Julian, and Stevens. Comfortably is tough, because I think with right now, I think you're pretty close with the way you've listed these players already in your question. I think Chad Stevens is an interesting one when you're talking about a guy that does not have a ton of major league experience, only 14 plate appearances at the major league level here in his career, which he has been in, I believe, what is this? It looks like the Angels system and some others here since 2017. So I think Chad Stevens, the jury's still very much out. I think the question mark is still surrounding. It's been a pretty good spring so far. 261 batting average, an OBP of 433, a slugging of 565, and an OPS of 999. Couple of home runs, 5 RBI, and a couple of stolen bases here, and 6 hits in 23 at bats, which is great to see. But I think the benefit for Freeman and Julian is that they do have the major league experience, and Ryan Ritter, so to speak, as well. But I don't know if Julian has really shown us a lot so far in spring that makes it say I'm more comfortable with him over Tyler Freeman, who Tyler Freeman I've seen contribute for the Rockies. It's clear is excited to be out there. It's a guy that the Rockies are excited about themselves. But it's also, okay, Tyler Freeman, I think the ceiling for him is going to be that 1.5 WAR type of season. I think he can be a contributor on offense, but when you're looking at it on just ranking them right now, Freeman and Ritter have had the better springs. Freeman's got the a much more major league experience as a utility player, and I think that there was a couple of hints at this at some press conferences that I was listening to and following through. I think Moniak and Freeman are going to be in a more confident spot this year. They've been with the Rockies. It's a much more familiar place for them now, playing for the Rockies, playing in Colorado, all that stuff. So I think there is possible upside here, but I think Ryan Ritter is having a statement moment right now. I think, especially when you factor in the fact that he got looking at, I forgot about this. He had 200 at bats or 187 at bats, 207 plate appearances in 60 games for the Rockies last year. And he was not bad in that time. The strikeouts obviously a problem, 61 strikeouts there. That's certainly an issue. But he drove in 18. He had a home run in that time, hit 3 triples, 9 doubles in that time, a 241 batting average, an OBP of 296, slugging 337, an OPS of 632. So while it's nothing overly impressive, it's nothing that's going to knock your socks off. That's a pretty darn good first 200 plate appearances, I would say, at the major league level. And then to follow that up so far with a strong spring with 12 hits and 30 plate appearances so far. And obviously Baseball Reference gets updated a little bit. So some of these numbers will get tweaked a little bit after the posting of this episode. But 12 hits, including another 4 doubles, a home run, a 444 OBP, an OBP of 500, a slugging of 704, and an OPS of 1.204. Small sample size, but that's exactly what you wanted to see from Ryan Ritter going into this season. This is going to be a spot where Willie Castro is probably going to be the starting second baseman, but Willie Castro could also go and play third. That means that Ryan Ritter needs to be able to go there. Ezekiel Tovar is going to need off days. So I think the way you asked that question, I think has the rankings as they are. I right now I would go Ritter, Freeman, Julian, Stevens, and Stevens could flip, but it's just the we haven't seen a lot at the major league level versus Julian, who's played at the major leagues a few times and is looking to recapture that strong debut rookie season where he was a 2.6 WAR player. So I think that could fluctuate there, but I think at the top of that list comfortably of that group of players is Ritter and Freeman. I think those two guys you're feeling most confident about, and Julian. It wasn't a crazy acquisition or a crazy way to acquire him, and so it could pan out. But even so, Skylar Timmons, I believe, expressing some hesitation on making the roster there for him. So I think Julian's going to have a strong spring once things wrap up for Team Canada there in the World Baseball Classic. All right, let's finish things up on the show with a couple more comments here and get ready for the next time we talk Rockies baseball right here on the Locked On Rockies podcast. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes FanDuel. College basketball is nonstop. Big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every single night. From early tip-offs to late-night West Coast shootouts, there's always action on the board. And now FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger potential wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. You can build any college hoops parlay you want. Maybe you're going to ride the wave of the Mountain West. You want to see what's going to happen in there, or maybe you're going to dive into the big conferences, the SEC, the ACC. You can see whatever fits your parlay. You can mix spreads, totals, and player props to match how you see the slate playing out. Then apply that profit boost and instantly bump up the potential payout. Go safe, go bold, ride with the teams you've been following all season. Maybe it's the Buffs, maybe it's the Rams. It's your parlay, your style, now with more upside behind it. Head to FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel, play your game. We are also brought to you by TurboTax. It's tax time, but for a lot of us, the old way of doing taxes is a lot. Trying to book an appointment, that's not the most convenient. Sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers, emailing back and forth, wondering if they really get your situation. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert and get your documents uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. And just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar you deserve, while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's the relief of walking in and meeting a real person and walking out knowing your taxes are being handled right. Head to TurboTax.com/local. That's TurboTax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment today. Back at it here for segment number 3 of today's episode of Locked On Rockies, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services. I like when we get questions, just like Luke's question there. Luke, I'd love to know your thoughts there in the comments section, how you would rank those players after asking that question. I'm curious if you got thoughts on that. Let's take a look here from the Locked On Rockies here. Zach says, and we were talking about, I had a short posted today about the Rockies upping the quality of baseball. I think that's really what a lot of Rockies fans are hoping for, is that the quality of baseball improves here. And Zach says, how can you say they're improved? Based on what? Cactus League? Doesn't mean anything. No, I think it's based on roster additions, and I think it's the fact that the Rockies have changed their I think the Rockies increased the floor of their starting pitching staff by adding more veteran pitchers, relying on guys that have played and pitched in the big leagues instead of having to turn to a bunch of young guys that the Rockies had to turn to across a bunch of positions. Look at lineups, look at what the Rockies were throwing out there in the second half of the season last year, mixed in with how I really think the Rockies getting healthy seasons from Tovar and Doyle are the difference makers, are the biggest difference makers, and will be the biggest influences to the Rockies offense this year. That's why I say they've improved. Based on the fact that I think their roster is better. I think that they have guys that are poised to be better, especially now that we've seen we've seen Hunter Goodman, and now we can hopefully add some guys that pair that. And we have some guys that are looking to break out and do some damage, and we have some veteran additions that also are looking to contribute. I think Willie Castro isn't going to be an all-star, but I think he's going to be an interesting utility option and a veteran presence, a veteran guy that will lift the Rockies a little bit, give them a little bit more veteran depth. He could certainly be on the same par as Estrada and Kyle Farmer. We know some veteran guys have come in and done a whole lot of nothing for the Rockies in their time. But this is a career 4-WAR player. This is a guy that's got, he's got over 500 hits in the league. I just think that overall, the Rockies are in a different spot. That's what I would say. And then finally, Jim says, feeling good about guys like Zach Veen, Charlie Condon, Zach Agnos, Chase Dollander, Kyle Karros, among others. Excited to see some serious hard-hitting baseball by the Rockies. I'm also curious to see how guys like Willie Castro, Jake McCarthy, Brendan Bernardino, Mike Lorenzen, and TJ Rumfield do this season. Go Rockies. Also, excited to see that Schaefer's excited. Schaefer's bought in. I mean, it's clear that he's enjoying that he's got the reins and he's able to run things his way right now. I think he's having the spring that he wanted to have and wanted to approach with the Rockies as well. Folks, that's going to do for today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. We're free and streaming on your favorite streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show. You can fire off your Rockies hot takes. You can let me know what's on your mind when it comes to the Locked On Rockies podcast and the Colorado Rockies. Check out Locked On MLB and the Back to the Bullpen podcast, available now for you. Plus, we got you covered with Locked On Broncos, Avalanche, Nuggets, and Buffs, all free and streaming on your favorite streaming services. Until next time, I'm Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.